Please go ahead.
Okay. So, good evening and welcome to this evening session of Global Hindu Panchayat entitled Continuing Pogroms Against Hindus in Bangladesh, Direction for Global Hindu Activism. So right away, I would like to define what is a pogrom. A pogrom is an organized massacre of a particular ethnic group. So it is not a riot where you have two factions having animosity and creating violence. Pogrom is targeted towards a particular ethnic group by another. So this is the clarification that needed to be done right at the offset. So this session is being organized by the Global Hindu Panchayat, which is a forum under the larger umbrella of the Global Hindu Foundation. So usually the format of the Panchayat has a discussion on a subject from opposite or conflicting sides. So the Panchayat is supposed to resolve the issue that comes up. But today that format has been changed. We have with us an extremely courageous set of voices, eminent voices, who work and influence and make a difference on the ground. So this evening, they will each present the nature of their intervention in their specific domain. We do invite questions. If you have contrarian views, we welcome them. But we will not have panelists who will present that. We want to use this time to present the problem on the ground. And those will be taken up after everybody has made their presentations. So do feel free to write in your questions as we move forward. So without much ado, it is now my extreme honor to introduce to you our very esteemed panel. I start with Sri Tathagato Rai, who is this evening's esteemed inaugural speaker. Sri Tathagato Rai is a senior BJP politician who served as governor of Tripura, Meghalaya, and Arunachal Pradesh, also served as president of BJP West Bengal State Unit and national executive member. A very fine engineer by profession, an academic, a prolific writer, and an unapologetic Hindutva intellectual. His articles on socio-political issues are published in various magazines and newspapers. He has authored 7 books, both in Bangla and in English. Most noted among them is My People Uprooted, The Exodus of Hindus from East Pakistan and Bangladesh. Now I will continue on to introduce the rest of our members who are part of the Panchayat today. So I start with Sri Rana Dadgupta. Extremely honored to have you here today, sir. Our senior most member and therefore our Sarpanch for the evening. He is a jurist coming from a family of revolutionary freedom fighters. He joined the Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971 and was imprisoned by the General Ayub Khan administration for protesting against the genocide and gross human rights violations. He is prosecutor with the rank of Additional Attorney General in the International Crimes Tribunal of Bangladesh, investigating and trying the 1971 genocidal war criminals. He is also the General Secretary of the Bangladesh Hindu Buddhist Christian Unity Council since 2010. He has edited several books on human rights and law. He has attended human rights sessions in the UN and in Geneva. Our next speaker, Sri Ravindra Ghosh. He's a senior lawyer practicing at the Supreme Court of Bangladesh and a champion of human rights of minorities in Bangladesh, founder president of Bangladesh Minority Watch, works closely with various international human rights organizations, a fact finder and legal advisor for Bangladeshi minority. Professor Chandan Sarkar, Professor of Economics, researcher and human rights activist from Dhaka, Bangladesh. He writes in various newspapers and journals highlighting human rights and environmental issues in Bangladesh. He has over 15 international publications to his credit and works with persecuted religious minority victims at the ground level. Sri Devdatta Majhi is BJP Karyakarta from West Bengal, president of Singho Bahini, ex-vice president of Hindu Sammati, an unapologetic committed activist for Hindu causes, social activist working on the ground for the past 14 years to rehabilitate victims of political violence and terror in West Bengal. And our last speaker for the evening, Sridhi Ponmitro, is a senior research fellow at Bureau of Human Rights Bangladesh, an educationist, human rights activist, and a prominent Hindu leader of Bangladesh. He has great experience working with children and on human rights issues on the ground. He is also the Secretary General of World Hindu Foundation, Bangladesh chapter. So this is the introduction to our esteemed panel, and I now would invite Shri Tathagato Roy to give us his inaugural speech. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Alo. Thank you, Gayatri, Sri Rana Dasgupta, Sri Ravindra Ghosh, Sri Chandan Sarkar.
Sir, you're probably muted.
Right. Sridhi Ponmitro and the rest of the panelists, it is my pleasure and at the same time my pain to speak to this audience about the continuing pogrom on Hindus in Bangladesh. These Hindus also include a very small number of Christians and Buddhists. See, the pogrom in Bangladesh on these communities, principally the Hindus, had started a long time back. But earlier on, during the British days, before 1946, it had the nature of a riot. I mean, there was fighting on both sides, and the police more or less took a neutral role, as the police ought to. From 1946, things changed. By 1946, when that infamous pogrom took place in Noakhali, which was made famous by Gandhi, and during which Gandhi camped for more than 2 months, and his net outcome of that camping was zero. This pogrom, from that time, the whole thing changed, the entire complexion changed. The British were still there, but they had lost the will to administer, with the result that Hindus were the victims absolutely from one side, and they had the most horrible experience. The time that we have over here would not permit me to go into a very great detail, but just one incident in every such pogrom I'll mention, that in the Noakhali pogrom, there was a case after the pogrom, after the pogrom had subsided. Some people who were trying to help the tormented Hindus, they had visited a family of a barber. His wife told them that every night some 3 or 4 Muslims come to their house, take her away from the night, and return her in the morning. Can you imagine what kind of anguish that person was going through? This was mentioned by Ashoka Gupta, who was one of the disciples of Gandhi in during this Noakhali pogrom. 1946 Noakhali pogrom was followed by the 1950 Noakhali pogrom, 1950 East Pakistan pogrom, which was engineered directly by the East Pakistan government. At that time, East Pakistan was practically ruled by a person called Aziz Ahmed. Aziz Ahmed was the chief secretary of the East Pakistan government. East Pakistan was actually being ruled by West Pakistanis, but their key person, their point man in East Pakistan was Aziz Ahmed, and he had a free run of the place. That was also a very bloody pogrom in which an estimated number of 50,000 Hindus were killed, and the entire intellectual class of the Hindus were driven out of East Pakistan. They were either immediately driven out or they made a resolution that they would go out as soon as possible. And most of them went out by, say, the middle 50s. It is only a few people like Rana Dasgupta, Sridhi Ponmitro who are still left there. Now, once again, as I said, I'll give just one example in each case. In the 1950 pogrom, on the 12th of February 1950, all trains crossing the bridge, which was then called the Anderson Bridge, all trains crossing that bridge were stopped in mid-river. All Hindus traveling in that train were knifed and thrown in a dead or half-dead state into the river. It is a wide river. It's a very long bridge, about 1 kilometer long. And Hindus were immediately discernible by the fact that at that time they used to wear shirt and dhoti, whereas the Muslims wore pajamas or lungis. This thing was related to me. Of course, it was reported in a very small way, as is usual in India. But this was told to me by an eyewitness who was saved only because he was wearing a pair of pajamas. He was trying to go to Akhauda from a station called Methiganda between Dhaka and Bhairab Bajar. This bridge is between Bhairab Bajar and Ashuganj station. The next pogrom was in 1964. The 1964 pogrom was actuated by the fact that in that year, in December, in Srinagar, there is a mosque called the Hazrat Bal Mosque, where the supposed to be a hair of their prophet went missing. It was found eventually, whether it was his hair, somebody else's hair, but the mullahs over there certified that this is the prophet's hair. And this was put back in position. But meanwhile, jihadi anger had been raised and it had to be vented on someone. And who better to vent than the helpless, beleaguered Hindus of East Pakistan who were 1,000 miles away and had nothing whatsoever to do with Kashmir or the loss of the hair. So they were subjected to a pogrom. A lot of them were killed. Actually, this pogrom is what got me into this business, because at that time I was studying in Bengal Engineering College, and a lot of boys from Dhaka Engineering College came to see us, and from them we came to know. The next big pogrom was during the Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971, and that was the bloodiest one. See, we all know about the Jallianwala Massacre. In the Jallianwala Massacre, it is notorious, it is made infamous all over the world, and it is estimated that some 1,500 people, members of an unarmed crowd, were killed by troops commanded by one Colonel Dyer. Now, there is a place called Chuknagar in the district of Khulna, in the Upazila of Dumuria, which is just 40 kilometers from the Bosirhat border of West Bengal. At Chuknagar, on the 20th of May 1971, Pakistan Army and Razakar killed 10,000 unarmed Hindus, most of whom were women and children, and whose only crime was that they were Hindus and they were trying to escape to India in the apprehension of precisely this kind of pogrom. It became so bad that the Pakistani army, they ran out of bullets. Then they killed people with bayonets, and a lot of people were killed in stampede. There is a river called Bhadra, whose rivers ran red with blood. Subsequently, there were a lot of other pogroms all over the place, and each one of these pogroms in the Bangladeshi era, Bangladeshi age, were not as bad as those in the East Pakistan times, but still quite bad. Fortunately, from 1971, because means of communication and means of recording had improved, there is some documentation about these pogroms. But the 1950 pogrom, which was possibly the worst, I mean, it could really compete with the 1971 pogrom. 1950 pogrom is practically unknown. Some refugees still refer to it as 50 riot. 50 riot. There was no riot. There was a one-sided pogrom. One of the worst places affected was Barishal. In Barishal, there is a riverine port called Muladi. In Muladi, the Hindus had gone to take refuge inside a police station. The Thanedar, that is the officer in charge of the police station, he called these Razakars and the rest of the marauders, and with them, he butchered all these Hindus who were present there. Then we come to the Bangladesh era. Bangladesh era, first 5 years till the assassination of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, things were a little better, not much better, a little better. There was persecution, there was discrimination. Then after the assassination of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, things really started going bad. In 1988, Ershad declared Islam to be the state religion of Bangladesh. That had caused one bout of rioting, one bout of pogrom. The next one was in 1992 when the disputed shrine in Ayodhya in India was demolished. Once again, the Bangladeshi Hindus had nothing whatsoever to do with Ayodhya. But jihadi anger had been raised, and it had to be vented on someone. Actually, this had a parallel much earlier in 1921, when during the Khilafat agitation, Hindus in Malabar, that is northern Kerala, were butchered by a group of people called the Moplas or Mapillas. And Gandhiji said that these are very God-fearing people. They are doing what their religion tells them to do. So this was 1992. After 1992 came Khaleda Zia's reign between 2001 and 2005. And during this time, the same kind of thing happened. This thing has been documented in great detail by one of the senior journalists of Bangladesh, Shahryar Kabir. And because of this, he had to go to jail. Now, since I am coming to the end of my time, I must mention a few things which are important. The people who have documented, who have brought the pogrom in Bangladesh, which was considered to be a very sort of a sober, very minority-friendly country, Islamic country in the world, people who have brought the state of these Hindus of Bangladesh to the attention of the world, I must mention their names so that you can Google them and you can find out what they have done. There are among the Hindus, the most recent is Priya Shah, who had gone and seen the President of the United States. Then the panelists, of course, are here, Rana Dasgupta, Ravindra Ghosh, Chandan Sarkar and Sridhi Ponmitro and all these people, they are there. Then among the Muslim writers, very important Muslim writers, I have already mentioned Shahryar Kabir. Apart from Shahryar Kabir, of course, everyone knows about Taslima Nasrin. She was one of the pioneers, extremely, incredibly courageous lady who had brought the state of Hindus to the attention of the world through her novel, Lajja. Then there was Muntasir Mamun. Muntasir Mamun was another pioneering writer. A document on the Chuknagar massacre, which I mentioned a little while back, has been prepared by Muntasir Mamun. There is Abul Barkat. Abul Barkat is a professor, I think, in Dhaka University. Abul Barkat has documented to what extent the Hindus have been dispossessed of their property. They had huge properties in erstwhile East Pakistan and subsequently in Bangladesh. They have been dispossessed of all this property, and the extent of the property that they have been deprived of has been documented with proof by Professor Abul Barkat. Then there is Salam Azad. Then among foreign writers or foreign-born writers, there is Richard Benkin. Many of you have heard of him. And there is François Gauthier. And there is Conrad Elst, Belgian. François Gauthier is French. I think he lives in Pondicherry. Alo must be knowing him very well. And then Richard Benkin is an American. He lives in California. So all these people have rendered yeoman service to the Hindus of Bangladesh, and a few people over here like I forget the names of what I'm getting on in years. My memory for names is failing, but never mind. The names will come back. You'll get the names anyway. They haven't. I, in my humble way, have tried to do something by writing the books that I have already mentioned. Well, that is that. That is more or less in a space of 15 minutes. That is what I could write about, I could say about the pogrom. And before finishing, I must first thank Gayatri, and I must thank Alo for the service that they are doing. I must thank the rest of the panelists, and I must beg forgiveness that I may not be able to stay for right through the panel discussion or the Panchayat discussion, but I'll try to stay as long as I can. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tathagata. I have one question regarding the list of pogroms that you mentioned, and that is the 1971 one, where sometimes it is the narrative is that this was Pakistan against East Pakistan, and that it was not targeted towards the Hindus or the Hindu intellectuals. So can you, in your way, tell us how this is actually a rather pernicious little rumor that does the rounds, that Hindus indeed were targeted?
See, the Pakistanis had concluded that the Hindus are the people to blame. This has been mentioned by Taslima also in her book, Lojja. And this has been mentioned in a book, which is, I consider, most authoritative. It's called The Betrayal of East Pakistan, written by none other than General Niazi, the ignoramus, the coward who surrendered before the Indian army at Dhaka on the 16th of December 1971. He has mentioned it, that the whole thing has been engineered by Hindus. The Hindus have been behind it. And I have it on good authority that of all the victims, 80% were Hindus. This time there were quite a few Muslims. Say, for instance, in the Moinamoti cantonment next to Comilla, where the recent pogrom had taken place, Moinamoti cantonment, all the Bengali Muslim army officers and Jawans, they were all killed from one side. And an officer of the Indian army who went to school, went to college with me, he told me from his eyewitness account that there was a Bengali woman, Bengali Muslim woman whose husband had been killed. And this woman told her that what had happened is that the West Pakistani officers who were calling me Bhabi the previous day, the next day they killed my husband and they made me serve liquor in their bar and made me do it in a bare-bodied. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine such a horrible thing? But this is what the West Pakistanis did. There were some Muslim victims, but they were roughly 20% of the total. 80% were Hindus. Any more questions?
Thank you. Yes. So right now I'll go do the round of the other speakers, and then we will open the forum to everybody. So thank you so much for your intervention, Tata. It's always a pleasure, and you are so erudite, and it's always a pleasure to listen to you and learn from you. So now we move on to Shri Rana Dashgupta. He is our senior most member and therefore our Sarpanch for the evening. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting to talk to us. The floor is yours, sir. Please make your presentation. Unmute yourself, sir. Thank you.
Dear moderator, respected Tathagata Rai, the inaugural speaker of this occasion, participants, and the viewers of the globe, Hindus in general. Namaste to Global Hindu Foundation, who has given me the opportunity to say something about the atrocities on Hindus in Bangladesh. You know, already Mr. Rai, in his inaugural speech, has emerged. I want to say, Bangladesh emerged as a secular democratic country through the glorious liberation war of 1971 from the womb of eastern wing of Islamic State Pakistan with the active assistance of the democratic world, especially neighboring country India, under the great leadership of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. We should have to remember Pakistan emerged as an Islamic state through communal divisive policy and a horrific blooded situation in 1947, which has already been stated by our inaugural speaker. Soon after the emergence of Pakistan, the Pakistan government adopted ethnic cleansing policy through deprivation, discrimination, persecution, and torture in the eastern wing of Pakistan, in which within the first 24 years, 29.7% minorities, especially Hindus, came down to 19 to 20%. That is 9.7% was the missing population during the first 24 years. Although Nehru-Liaquat Pact was signed in New Delhi on April 8, 1950 for complete equality of citizenship, irrespective of religion, a full sense of security in respect of life, culture, and property, and personal honor, etc., which was strictly followed and carried out by the government of India, but that was not acted upon in Pakistan since 1971. Against the colonial exploitation on the majority population of Pakistan, who were based on Bengali language and culture, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, or sex. Within woke up on the Bengali nationhood, and ultimately Bangla's Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman declared independence in the midnight of March 25, 1971, while the military junta started atrocities on the Bengali nation, especially on Hindus in general. One of the declared agenda of this military junta was to crush Hindus and to eliminate Hindus. It is to be mentioned here that as the 20% Hindu population of 1970 casted their vote in favor of 6-point election manifesto of Bangabandhu, and as the Bangabandhu, by securing the votes along with other Bengali voters, became the leader of the majority party of Pakistan and declared independence, for which the entire grudge casted upon the Hindus by the military junta. During the 9 months' time of the liberation war, the Hindus in general faced genocide, mass destruction, forced conversion, mass rape, extermination, that is, crimes against humanity. About 1 crore, that is 10 million Bengali people, took shelter in India as refugees, out of which 9.2 million belong to Hindu community. They were the worst sufferers of our liberation war. Mr. Moderator, ladies and gentlemen, soon after the emergence of Bangladesh, on 4th November 1972, the constitution of the country was adopted in the Legislative Assembly with democracy, socialism, secularism, and nationalism based on language and culture as a state fundamental policy. And the same was transformed. This constitution was transformed as an Islamic constitution after the said assassination of the father of the nation on August 15, 1975. Above the preamble of the constitution, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim was inserted. In place of secularism as a state fundamental policy, absolute trust and faith in the Almighty Allah was inserted. Bengali nationalism became the Bangladeshi nationalism, that is the nationalism based on religion of the majority groups, was again inserted. Islam as a state religion was inserted, and thereby the other religious faith groups were thrown as a second-graded citizen. More so, the rulers of Bangladesh, since the taking of power by the Sheikh Hasina in 2008, the then rulers systematically continued their politics and governed the country, being aided with the fanatic communal forces of Bangladesh, who also aided the Pakistani military junta during our liberation war, and thereby adopted communalism and thereby spread it, communalism and fundamentalism in the grassroots level during that time, that is from 1976 to 2008, 19 to 20% Hindu population of 1970 came down to 9.6. The Awami League-led government, headed by Sheikh Hasina, is in power for about 12 years. Although the government have done some minority-friendly steps during this time, but the fanatics and communal forces, both from outside the government party and inside the government party, are continuing communal attacks as before. Although all these atrocities are not the present government time, are not state-sponsored atrocities, but surely politically sponsored atrocities with a definite object of ousting the Hindus from their hearth and home and to force them to leave the country and thereby to fulfill their objective, which they failed in the liberation war of 1971. Bangladesh became Pakistan after 1975. If any negative political change be happened, or if the Hindu populace come down to 1 to 2% within a few decades, then the country will take the shape of Afghanistan, led by Bangladeshi Taliban. But it is true for the side Bangladesh, we, the minority populace especially, did not lay our life in the war of independence. At the end, I want to say, due to atrocities, persecution and exclusion, today the Hindu population in Bangladesh has dropped from 13.5% in 1974 to 8.5% in 2011, declining the 5% with an annual declining rate 0.14%. Whereas in the same duration, the share of the Muslim population in Bangladesh has increased by 5% from 85.4% in 1974 to 90.4% in 2011. The annual rate of increase was 0.14%. On the other hand, the share of other religious peoples, such as Buddhists, Christians, etc., are also declined gradually over the time. If normal rates of increase had prevailed, the population of the Hindu community in Bangladesh would have been 32.5 million today. But the Hindu population in Bangladesh stood at 12.29 million in the 2011 census. Therefore, the missing population is more than 20 million. The statistics reveal that the number of the Hindu population has been decreasing gradually as the lived experience of terror and a sense of continuing insecurity has forced many Hindus to leave the country over the decade. Thanks to you all.
Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. I had just one question to ask you, and that is, since you are the Additional Attorney General in the International Crimes Tribunal of Bangladesh investigating the 71 genocidal war criminals, you think this activity can play as any sort of confronting the truth of what happened in 1971? Like many people say that truth and reconciliation is a way by which communities can find peace and go forward. Is Bangladesh prepared to acknowledge the truth of 1971? And is it possible to go forward from here after acknowledging the actual truth of 1971?
You see, actually, the Hindus were the worst sufferers of the liberation war. And our respected Tathagata Rai has already explained the situation which was in Pakistan and which was held in 1971. As a prosecutor of International Crimes Tribunal, I want to mention one thing. Those who already have been galloped in Bangladesh, all of them have been galloped for genocide. And all this genocide genocide was happened there. It is true. Muslims were killed, but there was not genocide. They were killed. So for person is concerned, they belong to army or he was a democratic progressive political party. But so far Hindus are concerned, was enemies. That is, so what was happened there till today, Hindus are being treated as enemies of Bangladesh. As enemies of Bangladesh, and the slogan is of the fanatics group, anti-Indian groups, and anti-Awami League groups. And Hindu India Awami League. That was the politics at the Pakistan time, and that politics is going on till today. And that is the tragedy. There is no change. Change is from Pakistan to Bangladesh. But the dream which you saw during liberation war of Bangladesh, the dream has already been shattered. This present Bangladesh is not of Bangabandhu's Bangladesh. Present Bangladesh does not stand on the proclamation of independence, which was declared on 10th April 1971, prior to setting up of the provisional government in Mujibnagar. And that is the position.
So even knowing the truth doesn't help. The minority is continued to be persecuted. Thank you so much for your intervention, Ranada. We will come back to you later, and of course during the question.
Yes.
And
which
so
was
now,
in Pakistan, that is in Bangladesh.
Okay, sir. Thank you. We now move on to our next speaker, Shri Ravindra Ghosh. Could you please unmute yourself and make your presentation, sir?
Namaskar. The respected Tathagata Rai and Rana Gupta also here. I pay them respect because they are also working for the protection of the rights of minorities in Bangladesh, particularly Hindus. I am a human rights defender. I work in the ground zero level for the protection of the rights of minority Hindus in Bangladesh since long, 1995. And till today, I am working on this level. You know it better. Bangladesh came into existence in the year 1971, struggle. We fought for the country. And so many Hindus have been killed, butchered by the Islamic zealots. But till today, it was not. There are so many reports relating to torture, intimidation, death, rape, gang rape, and also forceful conversion is going on since long after the liberation. But nobody came forward for the protection of the rights of Bangladeshi minority Hindus. We are documenting and documenting. So many documents have been published in different media, but no one have come forward to protect, to take legal measures within this country. As I am a freedom fighter, I also worked in the ground zero level. We talked with different victims. We talked different government officials in Bangladesh, but nobody came forward. You know it better. In the year 1971, and there was a সংখ্যালঘু নির্যাতন তদন্ত গণতদন্ত কমিশন প্রতিবেদন. It was also reported in 2011. It was reported. And there was Professor Anisuzzaman, Musharraf Hussain, Sirazul Islam Choudhury, অধ্যাপক অজয় রায়, অধ্যাপক হায়াত মাহমুদ, কাজী খলিলুজ্জামান আহমেদ, শ্রী অজয় রায়, জনাব মফিজুল হক, মিসেস আয়েশা খানম, জিয়াউদ্দিন তারেক আলী. This is the report published 2001, 1st October. This is the reports. There are multifarious type of atrocities against the Hindu minority in Bangladesh. This is the report made by some secular type of people in our country. But what happened? No implementation, no judgment, no repercussion. But we are sending reports to different countries of the world and also government of Bangladesh in many times. But what happened? No action has yet been taken by the successive government of Bangladesh. What is the reason? Reason is that because Hindus are not the men or women. Hindus are a kind of article. So they don't like to fight against terrorism. But in the year 1971, we fought against Pakistani army. We liberated the country. But what happened? So many investigative reports, so many reports are coming and going, but there is no success. There is no implementation of the reports. And you know that there are some fact-finding reports by Shahabuddin Commission's report. You know it better. This Shahabuddin Commission report, it was published, but no implementation has yet been made by the successive governments of Bangladesh. So the Hindus have become more annoyed with the successive governments. Islam as a state religion has been incorporated in the constitution, as Rana Dasgupta has already told. And there is no secularism. And there is democracy, secularism, and also two other principles. The four principles were there at that time, but it was not implemented. But what is the minority oppression in Bangladesh? This is a good report, and I have gone through this, and it is our report also is there. And minority oppression report, only I will speak. The second issue before the commission, there was a commission, was to determine whether news of minority repression are mere propaganda or excess collusion of political reports of opponents of the present government or of mass media. Government reaction and explanation. There is an explanation. Government reaction is that from the facts presented above, summary of reports presented in the appendix, one gets a clear idea how religious and ethnic minorities, especially Hindu religious communities, had been tortured, persecuted, and oppressed for 4 months from September to December 2001. On the contrary, government described most of the reports, stories of minority repression as excessively colored. It's very unfortunate. This is the government report. They are telling that there is no reports. But the minority oppression reports are many, many times. The people, those who are secular in Bangladesh, they are also reporting and reporting. As I am a human rights defender, I visited so many districts of Bangladesh and documented several reports, particularly Chittagong, Rajshahi, Dinajpur, Rangpur, Kumilla, Fedi, Bogura, and also many parts of the country. During that period, I was attacked more than 13 times by the perpetrator, by the lawyers, by the police, by the government. Then where our life will go? How we can survive? Many times we reported to the government of Bangladesh, particularly the Home Minister, present Home Minister, Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal. I reported in many times, but sometimes he seldom took no action. As a result, the government has become more alert, and they are also encouraging the people to fight against the minority community. This is my assumption. I don't know. It is my assumption. There are several reports, and I have got another reports. It is also, I documented it. It is Bangladesh Minority Watch report. I have documented. It is only 6 months reports. There are 3,436 number of incidents in Bangladesh. I visited in many times, and I have been tortured by the police, by the perpetrator, by the administration, by the government. There is no legal remedy, and this is happening one after another in Bangladesh. So during this period, Durga Puja 2021, primarily the incident took place in Kumilla. We visited also, and we saw the horrible picture of atrocities, how the Hindus have been taken to torture in various parts of the country, particularly in Kumilla, Noakhali, Feni, and also Borisha. Recent, only 2 days ago, in Madaripur, on last Friday, there was an atrocity on Hindus in Kalkini police station. I talked to the superintendent of police. I talked to the deputy commissioner of Madaripur. They said that we don't know. This is a vivid picture. I have a video. I have a documentation. I have a FIR. But the police says, I don't know what happened. The deputy commissioner she's a woman. She is also telling lie. She's telling, no, Mr. Ghosh, it is not at all true. Then I sent the documents to this deputy commissioner immediately. Then he understood, yes, there is an incident. Nobody cares about it. Nobody take any cognizance about the atrocities in Bangladesh. But I have a determination. We don't like to leave the country. We like to stay in this country for fighting, for our existence. And we are fighting for our existence. We will not go to India or any other countries of the world, because we like to fight and we like to stay peacefully in Bangladesh, because we have achieved independence in the year 1971. It is our determination. And the respected Rana Dasgupta has also said, it is rightly say there is an atrocity going on till today, even in the period of Awami League. And there is a report in the 1971. There is a report in 1921 It is a great report. There are so many atrocities, but it has not yet been taken up by the successive government of Bangladesh. Then what will happen? My humble submission to the people of Bangladesh and the government of Bangladesh to come forward to see actually what is happening. But this is another problem, is that Rana Dasgupta knows it very well, because Enemy Property Act has been made once upon a time, and it was also abrogated thereafter. But what is happening? No Hindus are getting back their properties back till today. And the law which has been promulgated, this has not yet been repealed till today. So it is our demand to come forward to see the thing for the safety and security of the Bangladeshi Hindus. And this organization, particularly Bangladesh Minority Watch, is a human rights organization. We have got no political ambition. We want peaceful coexistence in our country. It is a demand because we want to live here in Bangladesh, not to go away to any other countries, because we have achieved independence in the year 1971. I have also visited so many countries, particularly in Geneva, New York, and we also volunteered, particularly National Human Rights Commissions in various times. And we have talked with different people in that particular meeting. And we had our demand. Secularism should be restored. Islam as a state religion should be abrogated. And peaceful coexistence between Hindus and Muslims should come. We want. Otherwise, there will be an ethnic cleansing in Bangladesh. Once upon a time, we will feel. We are not coward. We don't like to go abroad for our existence. We like to stay here for our existence in Bangladesh, within Bangladesh. So you please come forward and also see actually what is happening one after another every time. Only day before yesterday, I told you, just now, they are denying. No, there is no incident. Then I took some photos, videos, and also evidences and a copy of FIR. I produced before the Deputy Commissioner. Then he understood, yes, Mr. Ghosh, that happened. Then, are you sleeping at that time? When the incident took place, she did not answer. She did not answer. She is telling, yes, this is very unfortunate. This is very unfortunate. But in this way, the government people, the machinery people, the government machinery is trying to suppress the facts in every time. They are suppressing the facts. But we are also observing all these things. And we are also prayed to the government of Bangladesh, Khaleda Zia, Sheikh Hasina, and also Ershad, one after another. But nobody came forward for this protection and law. So we need to amend the constitution immediately. The laws, human rights commission law should be established, and there should be secular constitution. And another thing, we need to break the black law. The black law is enemy property, still going on. Although it was rectified, it is still going on. The people are suffering a lot, and they are coming to us for a human rights office, and they are telling, we are very unfortunate, we have not achieved. And another thing, our Debattar property. The Debattar property has been in various ways most of the people has been discriminated. The properties have been taken by the government. How? Devattar, as per law, the Devattar property cannot be taken up by the government without permission. But government is denying their own law. They are refusing their own law. This is another problem in our country. So the conscious people of the world should come forward to see the condition, to scrutinize the thing, whole thing, what is going on in Bangladesh. So please come forward. Please see the thing, what is happening. One after another is going on. Everybody should come forward throughout the world to protest this type of atrocities against the Hindu minority in Bangladesh. Otherwise, there will be an ethnic cleansing once upon a time. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Ravindra Ghosh. I have one question for you in addition. The perception in India is that right now, with the Awami League in power, with Sheikh Hasina in power, we still have the best possible option when it comes to any sort of relationship with Bangladesh or power or influence over Bangladesh or what's happening internally. And with Khalida Zia, it's not going to be the same. But as what you just said seemed to suggest that it doesn't really make a difference in the bottom line in terms of action based on reports that are constantly being churned out on atrocities, etc. So what is your perception? Do you feel as a Hindu that even day-to-day life like celebration or anything is more easy with the Awami League and the Sheikh Hasina in government? Or what is your projection in terms of hope and action given the power play in Bangladesh?
My suggestion will be to the government of Bangladesh also, and also the people of the world, to make a remedy for the protection of the people, particularly Hindu minorities in Bangladesh. There should be a good law. There should be a good law. The constitution should be changed. The Islamic Republic of Bangladesh, that is Islam as a state religion, should be abandoned. And Bismillah Rahman Rahim should be abandoned. Number two. Then the good governance, for the good governance in the country, there should be a good law for everybody. Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, and also other communities. There should be equitable rights. But in Bangladesh, there is no equitable rights. It is not practiced here. It is written in the constitution, no doubt, but it is not practiced here in Bangladesh. We do not like to make any quarrel between these, but we like to have a good solution so that we can live together, we can exist in Bangladesh peacefully. My suggestion would be not to kill the Muslims, not to kill other people, but we must generate the people in a good manner. We must give them good lesson, and the education is the main thing. Without education, good education, we cannot. But what happened? 50 years has gone, 1971. Then what our people will do? Some freedom fighters are also begging in the country. And the other people, the Muslims, they have become freedom fighters without any certificate. How it is possible? How the government will run the country? Everybody is coming and going only for money, only for property. So we must come forward for the protection of the rights of the people, to give them good education, to give them for their fundamental rights and human rights. There should be an education. Otherwise, it is impossible for our existence in Bangladesh.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for the answering the question, and also we pray for your protection for the amount of physical danger you take in the work that you do. Thank you so much, sir.
I have got so many. I was even in a position to kill me in difference, particularly in Rajshahi district and also near Rajshahi, Nator district. I was given poison.
Oh God.
Given poison with some tea. Then I become unconscious. Then more than 72 hours, I was not in a position to move, unconscious. Then thereafter, I came to know somebody, as I am a fact finder, I went there in Natur, and I was given poison for that. I'm really scared. Thank you very much.
Okay. So now, after this intervention, we move to our next speaker, Professor Chandan Sarkar. So could you please make your presentation?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm just sharing my screen. That is, yes. Can you be able to see this one? Yes, hello. Can you see my screen?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. This moderator, Aloji. Now is okay, right?
Yes,
My
yes,
screen?
it is beginning. Yes, yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator, Aloji, Gayatri, and then respected panelist, Tathagata Rai, the advocate Rana Dasgupta, Shen Dasgupta, Ravindra Ghosh, and others. Thank you very much. Like, it is really unfortunate to, that is for Bangladeshi Hindus to have here. We are just listening from our panelists. Now I'm going for, it's not repetition, it's a little bit different. And then everything is I also listening from the Ravindra Ghosh, advocate Rana Dasgupta. This is the already that is how we are the Hindus are declining from Bangladesh from 1901 to 2011 is our last census. This is the changes now is we are only 8.5% in Bangladesh. But if you consider is a voting right ratios, we are in the 15 to 17% as a researcher, because Hindus always go for the polling booth in 95%, whereas other communities is less. So the voting right, voting in the vote share, it is actually 15%. But we are declining, it's true, from continuously from after the independence to still to our last census 2011. And this is the future projections. If this is the trend rate is like this, then very soon we'll just, I think, going to zero. But 2015 it will be 7.3%. And this is for the district wise. But you see, I'm talking about recent atrocities because already all the panelists, they mention each and everything. But I'm going for recent incidents, which is happened in 13th October during the Durga Puja. Totally sexually is affected is 16 districts. And here you see mandirs, demolished mandirs actually affected 114, and houses and established is more than 188. And for the Tathagata Raida, and then our Rana also mentioned is research. Yes, we are Hindus are declining, but we always mention one name, Professor Abul Barkat. But in Bangladesh, so many research institutes, but they also reluctant to go for a research regards on the Hindus in Bangladesh. Yes, some are pioneers, but only for these peoples are just doing research, and but still right now there is no any research papers comes for regards on the Hindus, why they're declining. So here already mentioned Professor Abul Barkat sir, he is the owner of a Human Rights Development Research Center. One is Muntasir Mahbub sir, yes. Chupnagar one is just established a museum. Tathagata Roy is mentioned. Chief Trust Varamadi, she also few years back, but right now they are also not interested. Maybe Afsan Chaudhary, Shariat Kubir, Meghna Gota Kubatans, that peoples are actually, but they are not to go for research regards on the Hindus right now. And media, when you were just talking about in media also very reluctant. Even I'm telling to you, 13 to 15, even 16, there is a no any like our mainstream media coverage. What is going on in Bangladesh is during the Durga Puja. And law and orders also you see in a last that is the March one case is a Jhumondas. For the Jhumondas case, 7 times actually his his bail has actually rejected. So that is actually happening is here in Bangladesh. Now I'm talking about is we just went to visit it and the ground zero level workers. We went and then here you see that is this happened 13 October in Kumilla. Kumilla we investigate. One is Dilip Das. She is actually murdered, and you see that is media news over there. That is the fanatics hate with the by the bricks, but her daughter told us Priya Das, and another son was his son Partho Rahul Das. They told that is he was attacked with actually sharp weapons, not a brick. So this one is, and then after 8 days, he was in a hospitals, ICU, and then dead. Another one is on that day. This is the one is a Chinmoy Kali temple in Kumilla. Odhib the Shah, 80 years old. When the attack, actually, people are coming to attack, and that is beside his right side, his house. It's just so horrible. Due to this, see this horrible scenario, he just gonna stop, and then he spot dead. And that temple's actually attacked 3 times on that day. First was at 10:30, second was 1:30, another is a 3 to 4 and 4.5. That is the 1.5 hours was the last. And no, any one person, his name is Ochinto Das. He was a president of the local Hindu Buddha Christian Uparishad. He told that is we are asking for help for the authority, but there is no any help from the authorities. So this is the one for Kumilla. Next we went to Noakhali. Noakhali is actually ISKCON head. He told that is when they just at around 1:30 when they are going to take a lunch. That period of time, 100 to 150 fanatics at a time, they broke the gate and then just come and then attacked. And that is the age on an average was the 12 to 20 years old. And their leader was a 50 plus, like around this is age, and they attacked. And he told over there is a Jotin Shah is killed, and has a wife, you see, Lucky Shah, is only one son, 5 years old. And then another is a Panthodash, is a date, and after that, thrown to the river. What actually, this is the temple head actually told to us. Another is a Nimai Prabhu. He was a brutally attacked, and then 12 actually, times actually hit the local sharp weapons, and then 35 teach. But somehow she just, I think, saved life. But people thought she just dead. And then another is a victim, Shentu Devna, 30 years old, Kartik Shah. But they also told several times they're asking for 999, that is the emergency police. But no one can come to protect them. That is the in a workplace also has happened. And then I'm just mentioning this one is a little bit different from what the previous presenters actually presented. They just cover each and everything. But I'm looking for here, you see, for Facebook post. You see, Facebook rumors. Facebook is a very good platform, but this platform now using against the Hindus, and not only one. You see, one person anytime anyone can just, I think, use a fake ID, make a fake ID and targeted one person, and not fanatics, not targeted single person. They just come and then attack and destroy entire communities, entire villages. So you see on 16th of September, Gorango Day, it was just someone hack his ID, although he informed the police. But you see, now fanatics comes and attack the entire Hindu communities, and he is in the jail. Another is Oshid Boron Das is a 19. Anyone can anytime use any fake ID, but then and there people are come and attack. There's a Roma Sharkar in Bodhudesa College also. That is the difference. She was just for a share one news. Yes, so many news is going on. Suddenly he just news share anything. But then and there police will come. But when they attacked, when the communities are attacked, destroying, demolishing the establishments, if you call, then they're a little bit reluctant. So here is as a university professor, that's why I'm just always interested for those who are write anything and then and there fire from the institutes and then put into the bar. You see, same in the Mithun, Tithi shortcut. So it's the same fate for them. So anytime anyone can affected during this Facebook. So here is another is now it's started from 2012 when is a Ramu, that is also Facebook post, and from Ramu to 2011 in Kumilla, and Kumilla is the place where is the 3 times actually attacked. And what happened is always is a targeted enter is a Hindu communities, and only for one reason. Reason is that means there is no any it's a judgment, and then judgment actually is from the police side happened, and then police actually they did a case for a unknown 1,000, 1,500 and more peoples, and then you see there is no any charge sheet come, and that's why there is those who are attackers and the fanatics, they actually reluctant to attack the Hindu communities because they know there is a blame game is going on in Bangladesh. If anything is happened, one party started to blame to others is a BNP and Jamaat, and Jamaat also same blame game is going on. That is the ruling parties is doing this. In between is the Hindus, they are declining, and this is the massacre is going on. So if there is an example of the punishment or any comment under the judgment, and those who are really perpetrators, those who are really culprit, if they just give an example of punishment, then I think it will be it actually stop. But there is no any anything happened from 2012 to still today. So that is the main problems for atrocities is going on. So this is the 2017 in the Rangpur, 2016 in Nasinagar, even for illiterate, that person is illiterate, he doesn't know or write anything. But any person intentionally use his name, make Facebook ID, and then targeted entire the communities. So this is the happening in Bangladesh and started from here. Now it's I'm just going for recommendations. Is the government should come forward and then must have to stop the blame game. Those who are really culprits must have to under the that is the role, law and order should work properly to arrest them and give them the exemplary punishment. Then I think it will be a stop. And then Facebook, they have to must is a proper monitoring. That is like in a Facebook account, so that it will be a stop unless you see that is Hindus actually is targeted, and then one group intentionally target the Hindus, and then they are doing a massacre. Another important thing is blame game is going on, but when after the investigation, those who are arrested, they just got found in the political sexually attachment. So both parties should come forward to stop. And if they want actually stop this violence, I think within a short period of time it is possible. It need not necessary to do anything, just for goodwill, both the parties. And unless Hindu will be declined within a short period of time, my direct teacher, Professor Dr. Rabul Bhatkar sir, he also mentioned within a 30 years, Hindus will be a decline. Yes, I just go with him. If this is the governments and the international communities and then oppositions, even for the civil societies, are not come forward, then Hindus will be vanished. In Bangladesh, I think civil societies are a very good people. They should come forward. Youth is a very good. It's a big number in our country, so they should come forward to protect the Hindus in Bangladesh. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your intervention. In fact, my question was about civil society for you, sir. What are we as people who are concerned, who would like to do something to believe? Is this a mass general feeling among the overwhelming Muslim population in Bangladesh to ultimately cleanse itself of all Hindus? Or is this really a minority that is extremely powerful, that gets away with atrocity, that gets away with non-police reporting, that gets away with non-government action? So being residents in the place, being people who are there, who have stuck on, who are actually working for the rights of the minorities that are so violently persecuted against, what is your impression? Do you think that as a society, is it a minority or is it an undercurrent everywhere? Because I'll tell you, be very honest with you, where in the world is an overwhelming Muslim majority not done this to minorities? So I realize you work on the ground. All my prayers for your safety, sir. And I see some comments here saying, give us solutions, give us solutions. I'm learning nothing new. Please look and admire at our panelists. They are on the ground. They haven't fled. If you're not learning from them, then I don't know from where you will learn. So, sir, can you tell us, can you give us the sense of, is it a minority unleashing this on you, or is it a general feeling among the majority also, that they'd rather have an ethnically cleansed?
Yes, it's a Aloji. Thank you very much. You see, those who are really, it's a few, even for Muslims, are, like more than a minorities. I'm just telling few groups here, Ahmadiyya group and Shia is a group in Bangladesh. They are also, I feel, is a very vulnerable situation, even more than a minority. Yes, your questions is a majority is Muslims are good, youth are good, but like a few are fanatics. Those who are already Rana mentioned, those who are defeated in 1701, these groups are active. And another is also international, you also mentioned, yes, Afghanistan is coming, the Taliban, that is also another issue. Here is a rising, that groups is active. So, but I think the majority peoples are good. They are good. But in a fanatics is that groups also simultaneously increasing. That is also, we are not to, deny it. So it's, but in Bangladesh is a modern, and then majority is people serving. What actually I'm just telling you.
So you did mention cancel culture out there of professors. You are a professor, sir. I do hope that your position is safe and you continue to do the groundwork that you do. Salute you for your courage, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
So now we move on to our next speaker. This is Devdotto Majhi, Shri Devdotto Majhi. Thank you very much for joining us. And he is, of course, he works in West Bengal. And yes, your inputs, sir, on the situation. This is a perspective, I think, especially since the results of the elections, all of us are eager to know the fate of Hindus in West Bengal, actually, even. So I think your nuanced position and your ground report will be very, very useful to all of us. We Hindus, Bengali Hindus in India, don't feel safe. So please, sir. Do we have him? Has he been able to join? He was having connectivity issues.
Yeah, I think Devdotto wrote that he was, having connectivity issues, that, he could not join. He joined, then I saw, I could not see.
Yeah, we are
Even
having
I read that.
activity issues. I think we'll have to move on because he's.
So will I be informed in case he joins, because I think his perspective would have been very, very important.
Yeah, he could have been very good, but unfortunately he's facing a lot of network issues.
Yes.
He is traveling in North 24 Paraganas, so it's having connectivity issues.
Okay. Yes, I did read that he had. So shall we move on to the next speaker, Sridhi Ponmitro? He's there?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So your intervention, sir. Please go ahead.
Sure. Heartiest thanks to the respected panelist Tathagat Rai, Rana, Ravindra Ghosh, Chandan Sarkar, and especially the organizers, World Foundations. And my apology to all, due to problems I couldn't open my video and I couldn't see my presentation. So firstly, I want to mention the Tathagat Rai already mentions what is the persecution of Hindus before 1947 to 1971, and another Gupta mentioned. But now I want to mention the real situation of Bangladesh at present now. It is important, and because mentioned that during the Pakistan era, Hindus are persecuted because Pakistani people and Pakistan army they treated Hindus as their enemies. And during the liberation war, already mentioned that it is a great sacrifice. It is a great sacrifice for Hindus. During the liberation war in 1971, more than 3 million Bangladesh were killed by Pakistani armies. But from the different reports, newspaper reports, nearly 2.5 million were Hindus. So we got the Bangladesh independence by the blood of Hindus. But in independent Bangladesh, Hindus have no rights. They are second-class citizen. And with due respect, I want to mention the Rana Gupta. I respect to him, but he mentions the anti-Awami League group, anti-Hindu group. I don't mention the who is anti-Hindu. I don't know. I want to mention the in some context. I want to mention believe that Now Hindus are in worse situation than in Pakistan era, because you know the when the Tathagatara mentions some years reports when the massacres happened on the Hindus. But in the 2021, this year, I mentioned the date on 7th August at Shiali village in Rufsha Thana at Khulna. Then barbarous attack on Hindus. Why? The Hindu villagers went to the Shoshans to bury a dead body, and they recited Hoinam Kirtans. And on the road, there was a mosque beside the, and at the time of Shahan, they think their Islam was insulted. They gathered a people and attacked the Hindu village. During the attack, more than 56 Hindu houses were vandalized, and 8 and 9 temples were totally demolished there. And then we go for 21st July at Kotalipara, Upazila in Gopalganj. This is the constituency of our present Prime Minister's Sheikh Hasina's constituency. What that happened on that day, the Muslims, especially Muslims or extremist groups, attacked the Hindus by the name of the incidents happened in a football match. During the football match, they raised a issue for insulting Islam, and then they attacked the Hindus. At that attack, 8 temples were vandalized and more than 20 houses were totally demolished. Then we goes to Sunamganj on 7 March 2021 at Shalta Sunamganj. Then at that time, the more than 112 Hindu houses were totally burned and demolished. 9 temples were demolished. Yeah. Then goes to our present season during the Durga Puja. You know, from 13th October to that a great massacre was happening in Bangladesh. All over, all part of Bangladesh, the Hindus are targeted. Yeah, but horrible. You know, Chandra mentioned that from the first 3 days, our national media didn't cover the news of attacks. Later on, the media, because when news was covered through social media, through Facebook, then the national media and newspaper the news at Hindu. And you know, everybody knows what was happening. We got the videos, we got the photos are there. But actually, 3 days back, we got messages, official messages from Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They mentioned what incidences happened in Bangladesh. Not a single temple was attacked. Not a single Hindu girl was raped in Bangladesh. Some idol are vandalized.
Are we having connectivity issues? With Deepan? Hello? Are we having connectivity issues with Deepan Mitra? Hello?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, please carry on.
It's my pardon. So,
Okay, please carry on.
And you know, when the government officially declared not the incidences happened in Hindu, it means they want to save the victims, and they want to say even you know from the 2012 to 2021, not a single perpetrator was in Bangladesh. But also, you know, Sarkar mentions a few names in his presentations. The Hindus are targeted, Hindus are arrested by the name fake Facebook news.
I think we're having connectivity issues there. Shall I move on to the questions? In case he comes back, we will have him on again. Shall I do that?
Just
okay. Yes.
sorry,
yes.
just 2 minutes. I want to cover. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry for network problem. I'm disconnected many times. Yeah. Because Hindus were arrested. Because why? Because government create fear among Hindus. Because they want to threat the Hindus, not publish any report, any incident in the media. So they want to keep dark the whole international community, whole international people about the great genocide of Hindu Bangladesh. So I want to clearly mention that the persecution of Hindus is already continuing before 1946 now. And the when the Pakistan era, the Pakistani government captured Hindus by the name of enemy. But still in not a single land was returned to a single Hindu. Government, why the government to keep the whole international community about that.
I think we've lost him again. So I think the point is that he's trying to make is that despite documentation, there is no dissemination.
Sorry, I request and Hindu leaders, I request all we have to work on ground level. We have to collect every data, every incident data, and fight against, and we have to oppose the government because me, Sridhi
it's very difficult to.
Then government, government will mention that. So I request we research about what was happening in Bangladesh. We have to make a concrete this data. We have worked against the government, and I appeal to the international community.
So I don't know if you can hear me, but it's really breaking up. Your voice is really breaking up. So if you do come back with a better connection, I'll put you on immediately, sir. So I think I'll open this up to questions now. And I see a question from Gayatri. Gayatri, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, I have actually 3 small questions. I'll just put it across. First of all, the liberation of Bangladesh was fought by all, Muslims and Hindus together. It was on the basis of language and cultural identity. So a secular constitution was then drafted. Then they changed it to Islamic in 1980s. So doesn't it make the state invalid? Shouldn't the UN be intervening, and they should be again coming back to a secular constitution? That's one. And secondly, there is madrasa education that is rife in Bangladesh. So that is radicalizing a lot of Muslims. So shouldn't that there be a curb on madrasa education, and regular education should be promoted more? And thirdly, I have is Gopal Patha the solution for this vexed problem?
And yes, Gayatri, I have to mention in 3 questions. First, I have to mention the secularism in our constitutions. Yeah, we fight and we sacrifice a great loss for collecting the secularism in our constitutions. But unfortunately, by the liberation war I got in 1972, secularism was there, but later on, the President Irshad include Islam as a state law of Bangladesh. At that time, the opposition party, Awami League, they opposed it, and they promised that when they will keep on power, then they will change the constitution and they will regain the secularism in unfortunately, more than 13 years, the ruling party, Awami League party in constitution, but they never take initiative to make secularism in constitutions. And now we appeal want a minority protection cell and minority protection law to save the Hindus in Bangladesh. And second questions, Gayatri, please, I forgot. Gayatri,
madrasa education.
Yes, yes. You know in Bangladesh how many madrasas education is increasing day by day, but you know the now present government is also want to patronizing Islamization in Bangladesh. You know the present government take initiatives to construct 560 model mosques in all over the Bangladesh to disseminate Islamizations in Bangladesh. Yeah. Even present government mentions the Qawmi degree as equivalent to master's degree. And yeah, so the government always promote the madrasa education rather than the general educations. So I again request to the present government and the social samaj and the whole international community to raise the issue and give emphasis the general education than the any radical education in Bangladesh. And third questions, you mentioned the solutions. Yes, so and this is the time we have to go for solutions. Firstly, I have already mentioned from the official from the foreign minister minister of affairs, they officially declared that not a single incident is happening in Bangladesh during the Durga Puja. But you know what is happening now. So I request the international community to work on this issue. You know what is going on. When the government declared not a single Hindu temples were vandalized, but practically more than 300 temples were totally vandalized. More than 1,500 Hindu houses were vandalized, but government denied it. So I request all international community, all human rights defenders, all peoples to raise the issue and stand beside the vulnerable Hindus. Otherwise, we have no alternatives. Not a single Hindu Bangladesh. They want to live in Bangladesh with dignity and with their equal rights in Bangladesh. Thank you all.
So I will just take one question, and I'm actually clubbing the sentiment of a lot of people who have put questions here. And that is, does the rebellion or the protection of the Hindu have to be armed? I think that is what Gayatri also sort of hinted at when she mentioned Gopal Patha. So I'm looking at the comments here. Many people, they are I think there is impatience. There is very clear impatience. There is very clear been pushed to the limit. So many people, including Glory Pal, I see, who are actually asking if there is scope, space for armed self-protection.
Yes. Yeah.
If there is
not
anybody who
it is not a question.
Anybody else who would have,
yes.
Anybody is it possible for anybody else to to take this question? Would anybody else would like to take this question? Ravindra Da, what do you think?
Please explain again, because I was not in a position to hear you.
Okay, I'm clubbing actually the sentiment of a lot of questions, a lot of comments that have come in, saying that is it time now for the Hindu community to arm themselves? Should something be done by force? Should we reclaim our spaces? Should we have enclaves? Should there be even intervention with India? Should the entire defense of the Hindu community take an armed tone now? So I'm clubbing a lot of questions here.
Exactly, exactly. You are right. So now the government of India should come forward. It is a serious issue. It is our existence. The Hindus are facing greater difficulty for their existence. For the existence of Hindu community, the government of India should come forward with arms to protect them, to protect them. Otherwise, it is impossible. Some of the, you know, some of the people also that they want that no, we should stay here only for uh, incoming and also other lucrating purposes. So we don't want that. We must die here. We must die here because we have come into existence in this country as our motherland. We must die here without any revenge. It is impossible on the part of the people of this country, the Hindus. They will be annihilated. Sometimes you say the madrasa is going on, but there is no Sanskrit educational institutions. What is this? Our culture is going to be finished. Our heritage is also going to be finished. Then what will be the fate of this country? As because India has come forward for the liberation of Bangladesh and for the protection of the Hindus in Bangladesh, they must come forward to protect the Hindu community in Bangladesh. It is my desire.
Okay, that's very, very clear. I think, thank you very much, Ranada, for staying for so long. You have the last parole, as I would like to say. Please tell us, give us the summary and the substance of what we can do. Everyone actually is now clamoring for the solution. Everybody says we know everything. Time is for solutions. So can you please enlighten us with your experience, your seniority, your work as to what can be done? And we close the session with that.
Unmute. He is muted.
You're muted, sir. Could you please unmute yourself, please? Not yet. Not yet. Yeah, yes, yes. Go ahead, please.
What I feel, without restoration of 1972 Constitution, the minorities will not be protected. So my fervent appeal to all of you and the world people in general, democratic loving people, all of them should have to cry to restore the 72 Constitution, which was achieved through glorious liberation war, number one. You see, in 2018, the Awami League party, prior to election, they have placed in their last election manifesto that if they come to power, they will enact Minority Protection Act. We should have to be placed our crying and the appeal to the government for Minority Protection Act in Bangladesh. They placed for formation of National Minority Commission, enforcement of Vested Property Return Act, and Discrimination Elopement Act. I hope after 2 years' time, election will be held. And pre and post-election period will be a very dangerous situation in Bangladesh. And so far, Hindus are concerned. they may be targeted and more targeted within this 2.5 years' time. So we should have to unite ourselves and to appeal to the government to ensure what they placed in their election manifesto, last election manifesto. And if it is so, we feel some progress for protection of the minorities will be ensured. Rather, perhaps one said, armed and enclave. I hope it is not the time. It is not the time. So please, don't, we should have not to, yes, we will not only will protest, we'll protect ourselves. That is true. But if we think for taking arms in our own hand, or there should be any enclave, I hope that will not, the present situation will not allow it, or it is not the time to raise all these slogans. And we fail to one thing, stopping of hate speech. In madrasas, in waz mahfils, some of the Islamic scholars, they were giving khutbah, hate speech is continuing, and that hate speech is being publicized through social media. It is a hate speech, and on the other hand, excitement, gave excitement to our Muslim community. You please kill them, vandalize the temples, and so on. I hope it should be stopped once for all. Law is there, but there should be implication of law. There should be implication of law. And radical education, yes. Stopping of radical education. If it do not be implemented, then all the madrasas will create the Talibans, and it will not be helpful for we all, not only what religion who belongs, but we want to say this is against the humanity. This is against the humanity. And we hope in one voice, let us place all these demands. Let us place our joint appeal to the world at large, even to the United Nations, and to the Bangladesh government also. Thank you.
Hello, am I audible?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Already I have ended my...
Yes, thank you so much, sir. So with that, actually, we come to the end. That's all the time we have for this evening's session. I see raised hands. Could I please be guided as to whether I take, how much time do we have?
You can sort of take one or two questions.
So, Devatosh Mojumdar, can you come on and ask your question or make your point?
Yes. So my name is Devatosh and I'm from Washington, D.C. area, but originally from Bengal, and my parents are from Bangladesh, East Bengal, and my grandfather was killed by Rajakars and Pakistan Army. And yeah. So actually we spoke enough about humanity and human rights and these things, and Hindus are continuously being cleansed, killed, raped, tortured, persecution, it's going on. And no government in Bangladesh after 71 solved this problem and permanently didn't do anything, any solution, permanent solution. And those who are there, human rights activists in Bangladesh, sometimes it's difficult for them to stay there and say all these things, what needs to be done, because it's not possible. We understand that because they are in a situation, they are more vulnerable. But we, those who are outside Bangladesh, we have to demand, because we know the issues, ins and outs, everything. But those who are outside Bangladesh, we have to demand and do what needs to be done for permanent solution. That's the message all the people in chat box are writing. So that's what my...
You're absolutely right. And I understand and appreciate the restraint and the very guarded vocabulary with which people on the ground need to work, because their lives are at stake. We have learned very, very well that this is a dangerous space to work in. So I also appreciate that everything cannot be said the way it should. One more, shall I? Tuhin Pal, I see. If you can bring him on, and then I conclude.
Thank you very much for letting me ask my question. It's actually not a question, but it's some opinions. I think because there is shortage of time, I would like to mention that India should proceed with implementing CAA, and Hindus in Bangladesh should get the opportunity to even live and kind of do business in India. That's one thing. The other thing is I have seen many politicians who actually, when they speak about kind of atrocities on minorities, they kind of in a way they say that okay, Awami League is doing nice, say Hasina is nice. We should not discuss like that, because I have seen that the say people like Rana Gupta will not be attacked. I mean, they will be attacked. They have been attacked, but the atrocities that are happening on kind of Hindus in remote areas, they are at a different level. So I don't think that say when we say that we have to struggle in Bangladesh, we actually don't understand the difficulties that those Hindus are going through. So I don't think the current situation is it's not a good place for Hindus to live in Bangladesh. It's actually heading Pakistan or Afghanistan. So I think India should make India should let us know what their strategies are. There should be clear directions about kind of what we should do and how that
your voice is a little low. Yes, so we get your point. Yes. Yes, and I do agree that our
যদি আমাকে একটা মিনিট কনক্লুড করার সুযোগ দিতেন।
আমাদের ভীষণ সময়, কিন্তু ঠিক আছে, আপনি যদি
limited time, I'm not
1 minute
saying anymore. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Actually, the situation is such that we do appeal government and government solve it. It's not clear. When the great massacre is happening in Bangladesh, but the government officially declared nothing was happening against the Hindu, not a single temple or vandalism. The international community can understand what is the stance for Bangladesh government to save the Hindus. So I request the whole community to raise the issue in such level. At that level, government could face pressure to implement this initiative to save the Hindus, because that when the Myanmar issues, the Rohingyas, that they raise the issue and whole international community raise the voice, and the United Nations and whole international community take initiatives. So I request all international community, including all Hindus in the global level, to raise the issue in such level, so Bangladesh government will face pressure to follow it. These questions, for historically, demographically,
I'm really sorry. We are really out of time. We are down to the last minute.
India has the responsibilities. India have responsibilities to save Bangladeshi Hindus. But unfortunately, we didn't take any statement or initiative from the Indians, because they have the responsibility historically, demographically, and for to save Hindus. Thank you all, and thank the all audience to stand beside us and raise the issue strongly to save the Hindus in Bangladesh.
Yes,
thank you all.
Thank you. So before we conclude this evening session, I would like to thank each and every one of our panelists for sharing with us their work and experience. on this vital issue that needs a tremendous amount of visibility, support, and patronage. So I think it's not good enough to just ask on a forum, what do we do? What do we do? Be proactive, seek your own solutions as to what you can do. It's very lazy to comment, to attend a session like this and comment away saying, oh, but what's the action plan? You have to be part of the action plan. So each one of us who feels strongly for the subject have to chart out our action plan. So with that, I would like to conclude, and I would like to also once again thank each and every one of our panelists. Tremendous amount of respect, salute for your courage. We pray for your protection. Please carry on, and we are there with you. And also, I would like to finally thank the Forum of the Global Hindu Foundation and the Global Hindu Panchayat for organizing this. And we hope that we meet again in better times with change on the ground. So thank you very much for attending, and it has been extremely edifying for me. Salute you.